Welcome back to The Parent Guide, helping your teen overcome pornography addiction. I'm Matt Bulkley, licensed psychotherapist, 25 years helping families navigate hidden battles that our teens face online with pornography. And if you're a parent feeling that pit in your stomach when you think about your teen's phone, you're in the right place today. Today's episode is a game changer. I want you to picture this. Your teen hands you their phone for a routine check, a weekly check-in, and you see all the basic apps there, a calculator, a notes app, maybe a weather or a clock icon, and nothing seems out of the ordinary. So you hand it back, feeling reassured, feeling comfortable that everything's good. But what if that calculator is secretly storing explicit photos, videos, or a private browser full of access to porn? What if simple long press, a weird equation, or a hidden swipe unlocks a world that you've never seen? Well, parents, in 2026, this is actually happening more than ever. Teens are using what are often referred to as ghost apps or hidden vault apps, disguised as everyday tools, the normal apps that you'd see on any phone, to conceal their online secrets. And it's fueling the very addiction that we're here to fight. So parents, today we're unmasking these apps, how they work, and the specific 2026 examples, what's common, what we're seeing still dominating the app stores. I give you some real anonymized case scenarios from my clinical practice, and most importantly, give some proven strategies to help you as parents to spot them, to manage risks, to rebuild trust, and to guide your teen toward freedom. So if secrecy around phones is a growing issue or a chronic issue in your home with your teen, then this episode could be a real turning point. So stick with me. Let's get started. Parents, before we dive in, a quick reality check backed by research. 2026 study reports 71% of teens intentionally view pornography on a weekly basis, with the average first exposure around age 12 and about 15% before age 11. And as we've covered in previous episodes, we know that early exposure wires the developing teen brain toward compulsion and addiction. Frequent use floods the brain with dopamine, which then leads to desensitization, reduced gray matter in the decision-making areas, prefrontal cortex, and weaker impulse control. And we know that these effects mirror the same phenomena that occurs with substance addictions. And hiding it only deepens the shame isolation cycle that makes recovery harder. And that's why today's focus matters. So let's unmask the tools that are making secrecy so easy in 2026. Ghost apps, also called vault or locker apps, they masquerade as innocent productivity tools, things like the calculator or note takers or weather apps or clocks and sometimes even music players. But they feature dual interfaces, and that's what makes them so sneaky. So first, the decoy interface. So open the app normally and it does exactly what it promises. So if it's the calculator, it actually does real math calculations. If it's a note-taking app, well, there's actually blank notes that can be used to take notes. Basic weather app, well, it shows basic forecasts. And so it passes any quick parent check with flying colors. But then comes the hidden vault. This is the secret part. Private space for photos, videos, messages, explicit downloads, and even incognito browsers. And the access is triggered only by something that the teen knows, a specific PIN, usually disguised as a math equation, something like typing 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 5, 6, 7, 8 equals, and then holding the equal sign, a long press in the corner, or sometimes a swipe across a hidden area, or a gesture password combo. Well, why do teens use them? I mean, it's rarely just privacy. In my clinical practice, it almost always ties back to early porn exposure that turns habitual, turns into an addiction, and usually the drive for the use of the pornography is form of escaping stress or shame or peer pressure. And here's the research-backed truth about that secrecy reinforces the addiction loop. The brain's reward system gets hijacked, and hiding prevents the very conversations and accountability that break the cycle. And it isolates them further, worsening the mental health aspects of this, the anxiety, the depression, and the distorted views of relationships and sex. So parents, let me just clarify here. This isn't about catching your teen in the act. It really is about understanding the neuroscience so that you can respond with empathy instead of panic or instead of strong negative emotion. Well, let me get concrete here. So these apps evolve names, but the patterns are consistent and they're still topping downloads in 2026. Search calculator vault or hide photos in the app stores and you'll literally see dozens of these apps. So here's the most common ones that I've had parents talk about and teens talk about in this last year that I'm seeing families deal with an encounter right now. So number one is that calculator vault. Hide apps. Sometimes it's called the calculator vault or the app hider or hidex, or the calculator photo vault or the calculator lock hyphen private vault. And these look and function like a standard calculator. And it opens by entering a secret pin or a fake equation and then pressing the equals or hold it and boom, the vault opens and with hidden photos, videos, porn screenshots, even cloned apps and private browsers. And I mean, these apps are free and they actually do calculate and the icon blends perfectly. And so teens that are trying to be secret love them because they pass as school tools. They pass as a harmless app that can be helpful in math class. So second would be that note taking or the file vaults. Variants include things like the vault calculator, hide pictures or private photo vault clones. And these appear as simple notes or file apps. They typically open with a long press or a swipe or a code that unlocks hidden sections, which then again are often used for sexting chats or saved explicit content or sketchy messages that the teen wants to hide. And then a third would be a kind of a newer phenomena, AI generated or custom icon apps. And this is actually getting really big just in this year. So teens use built-in iOS shortcuts or Android adaptive icons or AI icon generators to disguise the vault as a system app. So in other words, they're essentially building a customized weather or calendar, clock, or utility app, and that becomes the gateway to everything. And on iOS 26 and Android, the customization is seamless, making casual scans of the phone almost useless. It's almost impossible to detect if it's a hidden vault. So other sneaky ones include the disguised audio managers or photo editors. Red flags here would be if your teen has multiple calculators on the app or on the phone, or if there's just simply odd icons or unusual gestures when your teen thinks you're not looking, or apps requesting excessive photo or camera or storage permissions. Well, parents, let's make this real with, let me just give you a few examples here that we've encountered from the clinic in the last few months. So, and of course, names and details change for privacy purposes, but case one, we'll call him Ethan, age 15. His parents had suspected porn use, and as they worked with him on his phone, they noticed two calculator apps. One was a calculator vault, and he had set it to open a hidden section. I think it was just a 4 zeros code, 0000, then the plus sign, and then holding the equals. And then it opened up into a vault that was full of explicit images. And for him, it started as curiosity during middle school, but became a daily escape from academic stress as he moved into high school, and he had started using pornography daily, but had been able to keep it hidden and on the down low with the use of these secret vault apps. And the secrecy amplified his shame. And so as part of in his therapy sessions, together with his parents, started to use reflective listening. So in other words, it sounds like this feels like your only relief right now. And with reflective listening and non-judgmental approach, he started to open up, and his parents also shifted to open checks with clear boundaries instead of just pure accusation. And over time, his usage dropped, his connection started to grow, and his grades and sleep began to improve. So case scenario number two, we'll say Sam, age 16, and he used a note app with a long press trigger to hide secret explicit photos and sketchy peer chats he didn't want his parents seeing. And he had actually customized he'd used an AI customizer on his icon to make it look like a calculator. And his mom noticed that he was constantly checking his calculator during family time. So when they talked, and she did a great job of approaching without judgment, he revealed intense urges for pornography, and that he'd been caught up in some sexting as well. And so with he and his parents in therapy and beginning to utilize the recovery toolbox curriculum, they together were able to delete his hidden apps and started to build healthier coping mechanisms to replace the addictive process. And in this situation, his parents displayed a lot of empathy, which helped to break the isolation. Finally, case number 3, we'll call him Liam, age 14. Had hidden content in a disguised music player, which was a vault, which opened up into a vault, and his parents had spotted duplicate utilities on his phone as well. And so Liam admitted using it for porn to cope with anxiety that he was struggling with. And so as part of his treatment process and treatment plan, he and his parents implemented multiple things. So one of which was a family device agreement, beginning to use monitoring tools and weekly check-ins. And over time, he was able to dramatically reduce his porn use and started to experience major improvements in his sleep and his grades, and his capacity to communicate with his parents was becoming much more restored and healthy. So just one more quick example. Anders, 17, was using an AI disguised weather app for several years, and it masked an escalating addiction that affected his mood and his relationships. So the turning point came with him with professional help, just getting into counseling and being able to get to a point where he felt comfortable enough that he could acknowledge and admit how he was hiding his porn use from his parents. And as we've talked about, hiding often masks deeper issues. So often we're talking about stress and shame and early exposure to pornography. And so when it's handled with understanding and not accusation, so often that can be a key in being able to get to the breakthroughs that are needed. And just keep in mind, as we talk about constantly as well, the teen brain is still neuroplastic, and the brain can rewire with consistent support. Well, protection plus connection is the winning formula here. So let me give you some steps to implement, kind of a step-by-step playbook of sorts. So number 1, particularly if your teen has technology, if they have a handheld device, a phone or a tablet, observe the behavior and casually ask to look at the apps and watch for defensiveness or unusual inputs or gestures or multiple hours logged on to an unusual app like a calculator. That would definitely be a massive red flag. So secondly, as you are looking at the apps and analyzing the phone, you're definitely going to want to scan for duplicates and custom icons, things maybe that you've never heard of before, or if it appears that there's multiples of the same utility, or just oddly blended icons. So this is just becoming familiar with typical icons that are found on a phone, either an iPhone or an Android. So next would be to review the permissions. So Vault apps, Crave photo, camera storage access. So go to the settings and look at apps, and then audit it and see which apps are requiring or seeking constant photo, camera, and storage access. So and then finally leverage what is available in 2026 as far as parental controls go. And there's some good stuff out there. So for example, Custodio is great because it flags suspicious apps and suspicious app time. So in other words, it will help to identify hours on maybe a calculator app, and it detects hidden vaults, blocks installs, and can detect if uninstall protection has happened. And it's just an excellent cross-platform. So Bark is really good as well. Something about Bark that's really good is that it has AI, a feature that scans for risky patterns and content, and then it will alert on any type of hidden activity. And then maybe things like Aura or Family Time, which can be really good for just kind of that overall comprehensive monitoring and app detection. And even just the built-in, like the Apple Screen Time or the Google Family Links can still help limit downloads and usage. And these tools can often spot disguised apps better than manual checks can. And then finally, and this one is always so critical, foster open conversations. As I mentioned with some of these case scenarios, it's that concept of reflective listening, which we do have an entire podcast episode on reflective listening that will be beneficial to go back and listen to. But things like, well, it seems like privacy feels really important to you. What's making that hard right now? And explain brain impacts without shame. Something like, well, porn hijacks the reward system, but here's the thing, we can rewire this together and create family agreements on no secret apps and that everybody is agreeable to occasional open checks. So parents, start small and start tonight. Maybe it's just as simple as one calm conversation or one phone check. And the goal, it's not spying, it is safety and trust. So work together with your teens, set boundaries collaboratively, stay informed through digital parenting resources. Make sure to tune in for our weekly podcast or see the YouTube channel. And if porn or secretive use is starting to disrupt grades or sleep or mood, or if it escalates into sexual acting out or self-harm or emotional crises, then really do seek professional help. And the Recovery Toolbox for Teens is a great outpatient or parent-led intervention. It offers evidence-based family tools. You get it in the bookstore, therapyassociates.net in the bookstore. It includes the Breaking Free Workbook, the Parent Guide, and the 101 Tips for Quitting Porn. And you can use it as a parent-led intervention, or you can use it in conjunction with an outpatient therapist. And it's the same curriculum that we use here in the clinic at Therapy Associates and in our Star Guides program. And if there are serious, severe situations, like I'd mentioned, the sexual acting out, self-harm, or if as a parent, you have just simply lost any capacity to have influence in your teen's life, this is where Star Guides, Wilderness Therapy can come in to provide the reset needed to stabilize and rebuild. It's the ultimate digital detox, 4 months in the wilderness. So, and you can learn more about Star Guides at the website at starguides.net. Well, we know that ghost apps, these hidden apps thrive in secrecy, but your empathy, your parental empathy and awareness can help to break the cycle. And remember, you're not alone in this, and you're not too late. Start tonight. Check one phone. Have one honest talk. Keep the big goal in mind that you're protecting their future and you're strengthening your relationship and bond with them. Well, parents, I hope this helped. If this resonated, make sure to subscribe. Tune in each week for strategies, tips, the latest research, guidance, and support in your journey. Help your teen towards recovery. And links to the Recovery Toolbox for Teens and Star Guides will be in the description in the show notes. Thanks for joining me today. I know how valuable your time is, and I'm so glad that you took the time to be on today. So take care. You've got this. Until next time.